What's up, everybody? Welcome back. I've got another crossbow review for you guys today. This right here is the Avalanche Extinction 425. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You probably recognize this crossbow if you're a crossbow hunter or crossbow fanatic. This is basically the twin brother to a very popular crossbow from a very popular company. And if you know what that company is, or you know the twin brother to this one, post down in the comments below so everybody else can research or look up that one. There's a couple differences which I'll highlight in this video. What we're gonna do, I just wanna go over some pre-shot first impressions. I wanna highlight a couple things on this bow that I really like, a couple things that I don't wanna call them negatives, but that I don't necessarily like, and then we're gonna get to shooting. As the name would imply, the Extinction 425 shoots 425 feet per second. That is thanks to a 15-inch power stroke and a 200-pound draw weight. The width of the bow, uncocked axle to axle, is 13 inches, and when cocked axle to axle, it's 9 inches. The bow's overall length is just over 28.25 inches long, and its overall weight is just over 8 pounds. Included with this bow, as you can see here, is a 4x32 power crossbow scope that has an illuminated reticle. That reticle you can change either red or green with different brightness settings. Also comes with a sling, a 4-bolt detachable quiver, 4 carbon bolts, a cocking sled, and rail lube. I want to highlight mostly positive things that I like and 1 or 2 negatives on this bow. So first and foremost, on the pistol grip, the butt pad, and then the cheek pad here, that's all got a nice overmolded rubber on it. So it's a little harder diameter on the pistol grip and the butt plate, but it's got a nice feel to it. It's just enough that gives you a really confident grip versus just plastic. And up here on the actual cheek pad itself, it's a little softer rubber and it's very comfortable. Another thing, huge plus for me, this is a pet peeve of mine with crossbows. When you put string stops on a bow, I want these string stops, basically the rod of them, to be hitting a hard stop, which this one is, right? There's not a through hole here. So as you're shooting this, you never have to worry about these string stops basically walking this way, okay? There is a set screw on it. That set screw is on the bottom. That set screw is just to make sure the string stop doesn't pull out that way, which it never should. But as you shoot, right, all that energy is being transferred from the rod into a hard stop on the riser. The scope on this, I'm actually pretty impressed with it so far. So the reticle's nice. It has good brightness adjustment, both red or green. It is not a speed ring scope. So it's got a pretty nice reticle on it. I like the circles plus the lines. And one thing I was actually super impressed with is I tried fogging this scope up and it actually wouldn't. And I can still see through that. So the anti-fog coating on the lenses is really actually pretty solid on this scope. So I was very pleasantly surprised with that. So if you were gonna do an upgrade, that is probably the first thing I would go to is upgraded optics, but this is a pretty solid scope for a bow that comes in at an entry-level price point. Also comes with some lens caps here. Detachable 4-bolt quiver. You can run it on either side depending on whether you're left-handed or right-handed. You just might have to flip-flop the screws on this to change it, but there's a little lever right here. Just unlock the quiver, slide it out. Probably my favorite feature on this bow, outside of the string stops. I love the string stops. A lot of bows have that though. This might be the best foot stirrup I have seen on a crossbow thus far. So it's not just a rod that is, you know, hard mounted in here. It's a beefy, overmolded foot stirrup, and it's 3-position adjustable. So if you pull down on this right here, and I'll try to do it while filming, you can adjust it up. Obviously this would be the position to cock your bow. You can adjust it to that mid position that we had it at. So this acts as a basically a shooting rest or like a bipod type of thing. And then you can swing it all the way back, which I'm not gonna be able to with it on my Bog Death Grip right now. But a 3-position foot stirrup, it's got a really nice solid lock to it. Love that. With most crossbows, you got a Picatinny rail on the bottom here, so quiver mount here, but you can adjust this, move it forward or backward. And I should have mentioned that the 4-end grip also has a nice rubber overmold on it, so you can adjust this to fit your shooting needs. Anti-dry fire trigger assembly, pretty standard as far as crossbows go. This is kind of a unique bolt retainer here, so instead of just a a piece of like spring steel on it. It's got like a little ball on the end of it, and it's a rubber coated one. So we'll see how this does. That's the first time I've ever seen that on a crossbow. All right, so if you want to call this a negative, some might consider it a negative, some might consider it a positive. The weight. So it is a little heavy. It's a little heavier than I thought it would be. It felt good to me. It didn't feel out of the ordinary when I had the accessories off, but when I got the scope on, when I got the quiver on, sling on, it is a little heavy. It is a little bit of a heavy bow. It's nice and compact. It's got a great length of pull. Like, it fits me well, and I'm pretty tall, but the weight of it was just a little bit more. That combined with the front heavy than I personally like. Now, the benefit to a heavier crossbow is oftentimes a heavier bow is going to absorb more vibration than a lighter bow. So it's going to feel a little better when you shoot it. It's also going to be a little bit quieter. It's going to just be able to soak up a little bit more of that energy and that sound. So that is a positive, and we'll see how that does here when we shoot it. But just for me personally, it was a little heavier than I wanted it to be. All right, guys, enough yapping. Let's shoot this thing. Well, guys, obviously we're out of daylight, but I figured why stop shooting? It's a beautiful night out. So I've got my target now lit up back here with a flashlight, and don't worry, this is my property. I own over 20 acres. There's a quarter mile of woods and swamp back there, so perfectly safe to be shooting after dark. Here's a quick view of the illuminated reticle for you guys. Obviously it's on red right now, and there's the green. All right, everybody, let's wrap up this video on the Avalanche Extinction. Guys, this is a really solid crossbow for the price point that it comes in at. First off, addressing the weight thing, it's really not that bad. I mean, it is a little bit of a heavy crossbow. It's got a little front heavy feel to it, but honestly, having shot it a few times offhand, just getting used to it, it really wasn't that big of a deal. And granted, I did most of the filming and shooting off of my Bog Death Grip, which in that instance, if you're gonna shoot off of a tripod, bipod, shooting stick, whatever, then obviously it's not a big deal. But once you kind of get used to the bow, the weight thing, not a showstopper at all for this bow. The scope on this bow, pleasantly surprised with it. If you wanted to upgrade the scope, obviously there's some great crossbow scopes out there, but you don't have to. This is a pretty solid scope that comes with this bow. Speed and power, definitely there. It is a very fast, very powerful crossbow. I wrecked 2 bolts, shooting one at 30, one at 40, burying them to the fletchings in my target. So just know, you're gonna want a solid target. Sound and vibration, also really good. I mean, it is a fast, powerful crossbow at 425 feet per second, so it's gonna have some noise, but honestly, it wasn't that bad. And you can dampen that noise down if you want to by shooting a heavier bolt. And that's probably what I will do with a hunting application. But as far as shooting a light bolt out of this bow, it really wasn't bad at all. It wasn't twangy, it was a very dead sound. What this bow leaves to be desired is the trigger pull on it. So it is a fairly long trigger that's got quite a bit of creep to it. And it's something that you're just gonna have to get used to. I'm not used to a trigger like that. Some of the other crossbows that I shoot break a little cleaner with a lot less movement. I don't think it's a showstopper on this bow, or if you could find a really quality crossbow shop that could maybe do some trigger work on this bow, man, if the trigger was just kind of tuned up a little bit, this thing would be fantastic. But that's the main negative that I have after shooting it, is just the creep and the way the trigger breaks. Let's talk real quick about the bolts that came with this bow. Nothing wrong with them. I mean, I shot them throughout this video and they were accurate, they were consistent. They're a little on the light side for me at 380 grains with a 100 grain field point, but you can obviously change that with point weight or insert weight, whatever. The only downside that I saw was the knocks on them. They are, I think they're glued in because I could not get them out. So you can't knock tune or swap them out for a lighted knock. If that doesn't bother you, then by all means, you could shoot these. They seem to perform fine. If you wanted to spend a little extra money and upgrade the bolts, that's probably where I would spend the money if you bought this bow. All right, so we talked about in the start of this video that the Avalanche Extinction is basically the twin brother to another very popular bow from a big name manufacturer that I'm sure somebody at this point in the video has identified down in the comments below. Really, guys, the main difference between this bow and that twin brother, one, it's just a little bit slower. So $425 for the Avalanche Extinction, $430 for its twin brother. But the big upside to the Avalanche Extinction is the price point. So the Avalanche Extinction comes in $200 less than its twin brother. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you like this bow. And if you do, check out the link down below in the description to the Avalanche Extinction. Also, if you guys like this video, do me a favor and hit that like button down below. And also don't forget to subscribe. And I hope you guys have a wonderful 2022 deer season. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, be a sportsman, make a sportsman.